Okay, great to see so many familiar faces and names. Welcome, everyone, to our Level Up session. Uh, Today, we have Talent Protocol talking us about their mentoring program. As you know, in L&D Shakers, we have a couple of events. Today, we are in the L&D Backstage. So Gustavo Pimenta, maybe some of you know him already. He's a member of our community, and he will talk about this Level Up program that Travel Talent Protocol has implemented. And with him, we also have Felipe and Julia. So we will get a bit of different insights, first on what is Talent Protocol, and then what is this mentoring program all about. So, keeping eye on the timing, and without further ado, I think Philippe, I would hand over to you for a short introduction on Talent Protocol.
Yes, I'll start, and I think to make things kind of more personal and informal, Gustavo decided or recommended that we kind of used Notion instead of a presentation as a way to share information. And maybe I'll just share my screen, and then Gustavo, after that, if you want to grab it after this. But yeah, so we're going to be quick, and I'm here representing Talent Protocol. I'm one of the founders, and with the help of Gustavo, we implemented a mentoring program called Level Up. But just to give you some context of what Talent Protocol is, going to spend this quickly 10 minutes explaining what it is in that context. Just kind of, you don't know me from any place most of you don't know me, but just a quick intro is that I'm originally a computer engineer, then I turned DJ, and then I worked in marketing in an agency. Then I tried to start a sabbatical that eventually became a startup called Talent Protocol. So the sabbatical never happened, but I entered the world of Web3 almost 2 years ago. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Web3 lately. Probably most bad things about crypto than good things, but I'll just try to keep it, at least share a little bit of what my perspective is, of what Web3 is according to my perspective. Like, one key thing is just giving you a quick timeline. So if we're talking about Web3, what about Web2 and Web1? What are those? And usually this is kind of not written in stone, but kind of more or less agreed that kind of these timelines. So Web1 was kind of the first version of the internet between kind of 93 and 2002. Again, these dates are just a guideline. And that was kind of the read-only version of the web. So mostly static websites, portals, kind of Yahoo, even in Google, the initial stages of Google, email, chat, and kind of Messenger. This was kind of the Web1 web. The Web2 internet, after the start, was kind of in 2002, but mainly kind of boomed with the introduction of the iPhone and of social media. So it's everything that's related to social media, mobile, kind of software as a service. And this is the key difference, is that the internet started being a read and write version. So we're not only consuming information, but our users are also creating content. So this is when blogs appeared, and where kind of the content creators and the influencers started to be born. And recently we've been entering a new stage of the internet, the Web3, which introduces kind of a new layer, the ownership layer. So it's not only read write, but you can actually own things in the internet. And this is where something that crypto and blockchain technology allows. There's some people that view Web3 as much more than crypto, and a lot of people put like topics like AI and IoT, AR and VR, all of these in this new iteration of the web. But in my perspective, I'm mostly focused on the ownership part and that blockchain allows. And of course, you've seen a lot of news recently, and this is kind of a common answer that we have, or common question, Is it just a speculation, or is there any kind of intrinsic value about Web3 and crypto? And that's mostly because most people have the outside view, which is basically just on those speculative bubbles. But from the insider's perspective, I can see the potential of this tool to have kind of real world positive impact. And there's several reasons why that's only the negative narrative is the one pushed by the media and the one people talk about, but I'm not going to go into that. Just one recent example about kind of the bankruptcy of FTX, and this is mainly people. Well, you might think that this is a sign that crypto is something bad, but what happened here is basically a failure of a traditional financial institution. So it's an institution that, unlike any other banks, that just kind of used money from its clients in illegal ways. It has nothing to do with kind of the core intrinsic values of crypto and Web3, which is something that I would like kind of to at least share my perspective. So a lot of the foundations about Web3, and for example, if we were talking about if FTX was a true kind of Web3 project, this wouldn't happen, because Web3 is about openness, it's about open software, it's about transparency, it's about making things or relying much more on code than on people. So what happened with FTX was that people cheated. So, and when we're talking about code, and code that can be audited and reviewed by everyone in the world, is much harder to cheat when everything is out on the open. And that's basically what blockchain allows. So blockchain is a public database where everything that's done and all of the value and all of the transactions are public. So anyone can audit them and can verify them. And yeah, I think that can be the foundation of a different internet, so much more fair and meritocratic internet, the one that it's actually owned by the users and not just by these big tech companies. Again, could be a topic for hours, and I'm just kind of laying trying to make you curious to kind of follow this rabbit hole. But why do I think this is important? I think in kind of leading to what Talent Protocol is and just trying to build is a lot about this kind of problem of this dichotomy between an internet today and the world that is managed and ruled by this centralized companies and these intermediaries that are in most cases capturing all of the value. Just think of, in this case, because it's related to Talent Protocol, think of LinkedIn as the biggest talent database in the world, and they are selling that database every day and capturing all of that value. So there's LinkedIn stakeholders, which are a handful of people, are making a lot of money so that keeping that database private, whereas almost everyone else in the world, both the talent looking for a job and the companies looking to hire, would benefit a lot more if that database was open. So if that information was public, 99.9% of the world would be happier and more successful. And what kind of blockchains allow is to having this kind of new business models where we don't need to gatekeep information, and information can be much more public and accessible, and still have a business model that will make sure that this projects exist. And basically that's what we're trying to do with Talent Protocol. So you can see it as a almost like open version of LinkedIn. So Talent Protocol is a Web3 professional platform and community for high potential builders. And the goal and kind of our mission is to help these builders, especially builders that don't really kind of see themselves or kind of identify with kind of the LinkedIn culture we have today of people having to brag a lot about their achievements, need to kind of post about everything that I do so that I am more visible and have the opportunities that I deserve. So, and that's what kind of what we call the humble builders, people who are much more focused on doing than on talking about that. So what we're trying to do is these three things. So helping builders be more visible, being better connected, and being ultimately more confident. And we help them be more visible by creating what we call the Web3 resume. So it's a much more open and user-owned professional profile. User-owned means that you actually own your data. So, and today, if you have a profile on LinkedIn, LinkedIn owns all of that information. So what we're building is an open database, and then where you actually own your data, so you can, if you want, take it from Talent Protocol to somewhere else, you own it, it's yours. And with much more verifiable information, verifiable credentials about where you've worked, the education that you have, so it's people can trust it, and it's not just you saying, it's verifiable. The connections part is, this is less Web3, at least the search and the fact that there's beautiful professional profiles, but what's Web3 about it is the incentive system that's done with tokens. So kind of this, almost like a game where you can earn tokens by recommending the good talent, by supporting, by helping people, by giving advice, by giving mentorship to other people. You earn tokens, and you can spend these tokens in kind of value-added services that help you with your own career. So you can have access to scholarships, to grants, etc. So basically creating this small economy where you're rewarded when you help someone else, and you can use those rewards to kind of help yourself grow. So kind of creating that incentive system. And lastly, kind of ultimately, this leads to confidence, people feeling more confident about their abilities, more likely to take risks and to aim higher in terms of a job that they want to, or something that they're building. And I think I'm already out of time, but I just wanted to focus on one last part, which is, I think, what this community is about, community. So why or where does community intersect with all of this? First of all, is that part of the Web3 ethos, and part of also what Talent Protocol believes in, is there's two very important beliefs, I think. One is that openness and transparency are better for the world, and we would all benefit with more openness and transparency for everyone. And also this idea of communities over individuals. Nowadays, there's a lot of focus on this narrative of the super founder, and the founder as a superhero, one man that kind of leads the whole company. We don't believe in that, and that no one actually succeeds alone. And so, yeah, valuing communities over and groups of people much more than individuals. And that's why we're building all of this in building in public, building with open source software, and trying on this path to progressively kind of decentralize the team. And decentralization in the team means that we're a small core team and try to be as lightweight as possible, but we have a growing community of contributors with different levels of commitment. And I think Julie is a good example of that, that helped here and there with some contributions, with some tasks. And so the goal is building almost like a community that keeps building and improving this community and this platform and this product, and a community that outlasts the founding team that started it. So ideally, I would be out of a job in a few years because I'm not needed anymore. So that's kind of the ultimate goal. And yeah, that's it about my introduction. And sorry, Gustavo, for taking 1 or 2 minutes more.
I think we are on time.
Okay.
So let me just share my screen.
Okay, I'll stop mine.
Okay. Okay, I don't know why, but I'm not able to share my screen. Just see if I understand why. Yeah, I don't know why. And can you look into it?
Yes, you have co-host rights, so it should allow you, but let me.
I'm seeing a window, advanced share options.
If you want, you can keep trying, and I use mine.
Yeah. Go ahead. Can you open the intro part?
Yes.
Perfect.
So, hi all. My name is not Gus, but everyone knows me by Gus. I'm part of L&D Shakers, and I learn a lot with all of you. So it's time to give back and to talk about this program. So the first lesson is never name a mentoring program level up. Okay, the space is crowded, and people will not recognize that is your program, your company program. And Flip, can you open what was the program? Yeah, click on it, sorry. So, level up, it was like an idea that you had to start to create something in the mentoring area, because we know that a lot of our users, they are interested in mentoring. And our first take, it was, instead of doing just the core team or just me as advisor and contractor, try to bring more people into co-creating it. So we invited some people from our community to co-create it. Sorry, can you go a bit down, Flip? Sorry. To co-create it. So from the first moment, it was something built by our community and not by us to them. And the first cohort, we intended to do something very simple, and that at the same time, those people in that cohort could help us to build the next iteration of the program. So some characteristics that are a bit different from most programs. So it was built in public. I shared this page that we are using, and all the pages that we are going to see are public. It was open to all, although it was a talent protocol. It was built for our members. It could be used by anyone. Learn by doing, and that part didn't went so well. We hoped that we have more participation from our participants helping to build it, but the engagement was not very high. But the idea was try to think about the model, but instead of overthinking it, start by doing and working with the people that are going through it. Accountability, you know, that is normally any kind of program. Then learning with the community, not a curriculum. So we have a community with a lot of people with a lot of different skills. And instead of trying to make like a script, try to bring them on. And last but not least, the only cost is effort. And anything that you see at talent protocol, and this is very important to share, you can just copy it and apply to your own project. And this is very important for us. Can you go a bit down, Flip? Sorry. So we had a lot of, we have like one-on-one sessions between mentors and mentees, and we have a couple of sessions one on career goals. Now I'm Flip. Sorry to be like giving you instructions like this. It's a bit awkward. Another about development mentorship. The other one, it was about DAOs, and the last one, it was Learning Feast, when we had the participation of Ana Maria. And also, Ana Maria, help me, how I can pronounce the name. I never know how to pronounce her name. Siri? That's Shiri.
Srishti.
Srishti. It's very hard for me. Sorry. Can you go back to the other page, Flip? Sorry.
I think, Gustavo, even if you can't share, you would still be able to request remote control. So maybe that would make it easier for you in the viewing options up top.
Okay, I think now I can share.
Yes,
Okay,
I changed
my
here
screen
slightly. Yes.
So how the program was created, I was talking about co-created. I did run some facilitation sessions that most of you are used to it. And then we validated the process. This is like an example where we're planning the learning feast. Me and Paulo Fonseca, one of the co-creators, trying to think what would be the space. Here, one of our participants, Flip, and you also had a talk in the learning feast. He helped us to create like a proof of attendance NFT. And here, like two people that you know, that's presented at the Learning Feast. So, in terms of the program, I need to be totally honest with you. It wasn't a success. We achieved two of the main desired outcomes, so increased engagement between community members, and we experiment dynamics that can be integrated into the product at a later stage. In fact, we know what we are going to do next. And I'm going to talk about the second order effects and lessons learned. So I'm going to start with the lessons learned and just go to our post-mortem and to tell about what didn't work. So the matching process was far from perfect. We were aware of it, but the influence that it had in the program was huge. So the average number of one-on-one sessions was 2. We are aiming at 3. It was a 3-month program. Only around half of the participants are still in contact or continuing the mentoring sessions. Some people can say that this is not so bad, but for me, I was hoping for more. So the participants didn't participate in some of the program initiatives. And there's something like an externality that it was important, like we had a down market. So what you call a bear market. In this space, usually we have a down market. I would say that only 10% of the people, and just from these numbers to the air, but it's like around 10%, 20% of the people are still engaged, and the other people just quit the space. This is not bad at all. So we clean the space and we prepare for the next wave. So we usually say in this period we are building. So about the good things about the program. So it was our first approach to mentoring. So everyone in the team was aware that we need to work this space, but it was our first structured approach to mentoring. And it was a great way for some of our community members to work together, and something that usually Flip prefers, and I agree. So our user base is not our community. So we have a community of people that are highly engaged, and we have users that just want to have their profile on Talent Protocol, and that is fine. But we discovered this like at a later stage, and nowadays we have more engagement because the people that really want to help us and be part of this are working together. And Level Up was one more way for doing that. So one good story about the program. So Tolga, a community member that had moved to Lisbon, and me and Lial, our CPO, are helping him to know the city. Like when we are planning the Learning Fest, at that time, me and Leal decided to go to Istanbul, and Tolga is from Istanbul, and we didn't know that it was super connected in Istanbul. So we lived like locals in Istanbul, thanks to Tolga. And when I started working on Tolga organizing the event, I realized that he's very good at the operations. I share with the leadership team, and now he's working in our team. So it's like one of the success stories about all this of Level Up. So, and about how to engage your community. So in the process, we also build a library of resources that will be the starting point for the new mentoring website. And we learn necessary lessons for moving forward with a new experiment. And what is going to be the new experiment? So we are prioritizing the Level Up. We are not going to launch a new cohort, at least for now. So people, when they join, they share if they are looking for a mentor, if they are open to be a mentor. And then we can filter in our platform people that are looking for a mentor, or they are open to be a mentor, and people can connect directly. And I'm building, I say I because I'm the owner of the initiative, but the team, we are building a website with resources and tools for people. They can do it on their own, but have all the support, and also have like a channel so they can exchange experience about the program so far. And like I was saying, Level Up wasn't a success, but we learned our lessons, and it was opened the way for we try a new experiment at a larger scale, and at the same time using the resources that we have been building during the first cohort. So I think we are on time. Anna, how are we on time? Okay.
Yes,
Sorry,
all
sorry.
good so far. I think now Julia would take 5 minutes, and then we can open the Q&A. So
okay. So, but Anna, do you have a question?
I see, Anna, you have a
Maria?
question already.
I'm not sure. I don't know if maybe Julia covers this, but I would be very interested in if you could give us some more details, Gus, on how long was the program? Like, how did you pick the mentors? How were the mentees? Did they apply? How did you do the matching? Maybe a bit into the dynamics
So,
of the program itself.
So the program was supposed to be 3 months. If I'm not mistaken, it was 4 because it was in the middle of summer. And a lot of people in Portugal in summer, let's just say that things are slow in Portugal during the summer, and a lot of the participants were Portuguese. So the way you pick the participants, to be totally transparent, it was the people that we knew that could be more engaged at the time. It was an experiment, and we did like a formal process for that. But we reached to people that we knew, and we knew that they were able to help us on this. And then in the middle of the program, they are not so engaged, but we didn't have a formal process to do that. And that was one of the major mistakes, because I think we forced a little bit the pairs, okay? We didn't force them, but pairing people up, we should have considered other criteria than ones that we had, okay? I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to imagine it if there wasn't the structure, because we usually work with the structure always like that. Exactly, that's the part that it's kind of like, it has to work
I
very
know.
structured.
I know that, and I'm the learning guy, and this is one experiment, and I'm the
Yeah.
owner of this. So if it
Yeah.
fails on me, we don't point the finger at Talent Protocol, but if it's failed, it is on me. But to decide to go this to move forward, like an experiment, and try to learn with our community. And it was my decision. It didn't work so well, but I think it paved the way for the new experiment. And it's a good question, because I think the pair of the people in the program, it was like probably one of the main causes of not being a success. So Julia, do you have more questions? Anna Maria, sorry. Julia.
I leave them for later. Julia,
Okay.
go ahead.
Can you share your
Hi,
experience?
everybody. Absolutely. So hi, everyone. I'm Julia. I am Brazilian, but I live between Portugal and Spain. Pleasure to be here today with everyone. Just going to share a little bit about, my experience with Talent Protocol. I was this time last year an absolute Web3 noob. I knew nothing. I had no idea. And I wanted to just, ignore it because I thought it was a buzzword, that it was something that I wasn't interested in. Come Talent Protocol, my first, interaction with them was just absolutely blissful, in the sense that they were a community of people who just really excited to help, really excited to teach, really excited and patient to explain. So for me, that was just, regardless of what the topic of the community was, that's kind of like the number one thing that really hooks you and really excites you to be a part of it. So as I, was a person who comes from the field of marketing, was really excited about content creation, and Web3 was, this big world that was buzzing at the time and in need of a lot of the non-technical talent that could help out, to kind of explain what Web3 is. I went through that process myself with Talent Protocol, and then started to collaborate with them on a really interesting project called Talent Spotlight, which I was hired to do the thing that I love the most, which is interview people and just meet really exciting other talent inside the community. So I was booking these calls with other talent in the community, learning more about them, and then writing pieces for Talent Protocol that basically helps shine a light on their incredible journeys, really, really cool personalities, and then helping using that as content marketing for Talent Protocol. So through these numerous calls, I think I sat on around 25 different calls, I learned, I had like almost a personalized, tailored course to the world of Web3. And that got me really excited. And I did, after that, engage in a lot of other Web3 companies and helping them with their content marketing, just because I had learned so much and I was super excited to embark in that world. And then after that, I was just, becoming a very, very active participant in the community, attending a lot of events, meeting all of the awesome people behind Talent Protocol. And then Gus reached out to me to be a part of the co-creation of the mentoring program. So it's something that I'm really passionate about. I'm really excited about, personal development. And I was really inspired by how Talent Protocol had done it so organically in my path, of the sense that, you can come in and you learn a lot, even though it's not a structured learning program. So for me, it was a really cool opportunity to come and meet them and like understand how they're co-creating this platform and how to build this structured mentoring program. But I think that, as we built and as we thought about ideas and we learned, it's first of all very, very hard to break the mold on what a traditional mentoring program is. I think it's just something that at the end of the day boils down to matching and getting two people that, really are good together. And in the past, from what I learned about my experience having mentors, is that none of them were done forcefully, in the sense that I had never applied to get a mentor and got a mentor that actually stuck. Most of the mentors that appeared in my life appeared naturally through other causes. So I kind of connected sometimes through like dating platforms. So, sometimes when people think two people would match, it doesn't really happen. But when it happens organically, it's, butterflies in the room. So I thought that sometimes is something to always keep in mind of when we're thinking of these Talent Protocol, when we're thinking of these like mentorship programs. But my experience was, really fun. I got matched with Philippe. Awesome, because we had already, worked a little bit together, and we managed to have, so it was just moments that we forced ourselves to have really interesting conversations about what I would want to do in the future of my career, which is something that I personally a lot of times don't take time to think about. So it's nice to have, force yourself to take an hour to talk about where you want to go and take a breather and understand the future. So for me, it was super beneficial. Unfortunately, as Gus mentioned, it did catch me in a time where in the middle of taking holidays, in the middle of trying to disconnect, you didn't really want to take that time to think about the things that kind of drive you a little bit of anxiety. So I'd say that for me, that time was difficult. And I think it was hard to juggle a lot of things, but I would love to I do sometimes randomly send messages to Philippe and say, hey, Philippe, what was that newsletter you talked to me about? Or, hey, what would you think about doing a partnership with this? So it did open that door for me to have direct access to ask him a lot of questions that come up. And he's always been extremely patient and replied. So for me, I definitely think we'll definitely have other sessions and other calls throughout my whole Web3 immersion and also the world of marketing that he's super experienced in. But yeah, no, that was a little bit about my experience, but I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I would love to open the floor for all of us to answer any doubts.
Thank you so much. This was very nice. Maybe I would open the round. I do have a couple of questions, but I would make sure to try and balance them. So Gus, you said already that kind of one of the failures of the mentoring program was the matching process. We heard how you kind of picked people to take part as mentees, but what was kind of the criteria that you then used to match? So Julia's example we saw here, there was some similarities with regards to communication and marketing. Is this what you picked up on, kind of experience base and I don't know, trainings or so, or academic background? Or did you take something else into account, like, I don't know, future goals? Like, was there any questions that you could kind of match people, mentees to mentors? How did that work? And then,
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Then I can pull
Basically,
together later.
I try to do it like, for example, both Flip and Julia work in marketing. We had designers, developers. That was the main criteria. In some cases, because some people had potential to be founders of a startup or something, matching them with experienced founders, but it was usually working in the same area.
Okay. Understood. And now that you are kind of rethinking and also this matching approach, how would you measure success or impact? Because we saw like one of your learnings was that either people did not attend some of the events or they only had a couple of mentoring sessions and you're aiming for some more. So is this kind of what you would see the best way to measure impact for whatever we call it 2.0? Or how would you say that it would be interesting to measure that?
I'm working on that this month, so I don't have a straight answer yet. By the end of the month, I'll have a straight answer for that.
Okay, cool. We look forward to hearing it then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then I think Ana Maria, you raised the hand first.
Yes.
So,
so I'm very, very curious because obviously Talent Protocol and Web3 and everything is all about co-creation and building things together and in public. Did you took the same approach for this program? Was it a co-created program and you took kind of, you know, a group of people that you took them through a journey and so on, or not?
Yes, so the initial base of the plan, it was co-created with Julia and more 5 people, if I'm not mistaken, Tiago Pedras, Paulo Fonseca, and 2 people from the Talent Protocol core team. And then I was hoping for the participants to help to co-create it while doing it, but it wasn't possible. So they gave feedback, but it wasn't possible because we didn't have enough engagement for that. But at the same time, even the sessions, one of them was presented by one of our co-creators, better moderated by one of our co-creators. But I would say in the beginning, yes. And every time I had to make a decision, I would ask the co-creators what do you think about it. But at the same time, the co-creators, the time they had to help was not the same as me. So it was like, I talked with them when needed, but I would say that the biggest effort from them, it was in the beginning to find the model, to create the model.
Maybe this also goes in the direction of Nana's question in the chat. That is, was this somehow requested by staff, or was it an initiative pushed altogether from the talent protocol organization by its members? How did it work? And if there was something like a program in place to connect both mentors and mentees, or were they left kind of to their own device pace? How maybe I think this is connecting a bit to what Anna was also looking to understand, why did we set it up? Okay, we already understood it was aimed at co-creation. It didn't work so well, but what was the initial goal with setting it up, and how was it kind of brought into the organization?
The initial goal was to be a first experiment. It was proposed by me, but knowing that a lot of people at Talent Protocol, our users, are looking for mentoring or to help other people. And part of the Talent Protocol mission is what we call like multiplayer journeys, okay, or collective journeys, where people help each other on their careers. So it's part of our core mission, to connect people so they can help each other. What was the second question? Sorry, Anna.
Then it's also if there was a program in place to connect mentors and mentees, or if they were left on their own. I think this also connects a bit to what you were saying, that there were only a couple of sessions taking place and you are aiming to some more. So did like people just schedule, or was there something there to support?
Yeah, basically they are supposed to have one session per month, and I was always doing like asking them if they were having the sessions, what were the feedback, talking with them. Sometimes if one of the mentor or mentee doesn't answer to the other person message, I would try to connect them again. I was doing that work. And besides that, the only formal structure for the program, it was around the sessions that we had. One on career goals in the beginning, other one about develop mentorship, the other one about DAOs, and in the end, the learning festival.
Sure, Nana, if that is going towards what you hoped for. Okay, she's saying it's great. Great. And then we also have another hand by Maria.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I want to start by thanking you for sharing your learnings. It's so rare that we see people standing up to failure and making it a learning opportunity. So I really appreciate that. We also had a mentoring failure here where I work. So my initial question was the same Anna brought up. I'm very interested to see, once you have the new success criteria, to see how it adapts. Are you just changing the program structure but still trying to resolve the same criteria, or how are they changing? So I'll be keen to hear that later. But now we also observed, so I work here in London, we also observed the attendance fading away after 2 encounters. Our program was a little longer, 6 months, but we saw it fading away. So what are some ideas that you have to avoid this? And from the feedback you gathered, was the Portuguese summer the only reason why this happened, or did you identify other reasons why people were not attending or not giving continuity?
So starting with the model that we are going to move forward now is not a cohort based, okay? We are just helping people to connect because they have filters to find people that are a good match for them. They connect directly with them. We'll provide a website with resources and some tools. Like for the sessions, what they should do if they want, if they don't have their own process, and also to create some kind of communication channel. So now we are going to expand a different model. About that. Can you remember the second question? Sorry.
If from the feedback you gathered, the summer in Portugal was the only reason why people stopped attending, or there was another reason that you observed?
To be honest, though, there are two things that impact the program: the summer, but it's on me to start it on summer, and also what you call the bear market. But I think it should they are not, I think I failed by thinking about this in my, usually I say that I'm a dreamer and a doer. I think I was more like a dreamer when I thought that it was possible to have more engagement and not a doer. So if you ask me now, if I create a new program in the same model, I would have to think about it, all the variables, and I'll do something more stronger from the get-go. I don't know exactly what, because it's hard, because I think Web3 needs a different kind of model, a more open model, but this one didn't work, okay? And you can say that it worked more or less because we have 50% of engagement in terms of people that continue to work together. But to be honest, people didn't attend the sessions, for example. And only that, for me, is a failure.
Did it made you reflect at any point, Gustavo? Why were people not attending? Was it a question of time? Was it a question of topic that was perhaps not engaging?
Yeah, I was engaged with the participants, and curiously or not, the ones that were less engaged were the mentees. And I would say, like, I don't know how many of them, but half or something similar said that they are in their vacation period, so they are not so eager to have this kind of sessions. But again, I think the program lacked structure, okay? So it's not only just saying it was summertime, it was a bear market. I think we could have done a lot better.
Anna.
So I think that it's very interesting, because sometimes these programs are a success and other times are not. So then you really start to think, as a learning person, why is that? Like, and how, is there anything that we can do from the design perspective to gear it towards success? And I personally had an experience, and we're closing up a mentorship program with Lavinia from Offbeat now in December. And we had 10 mentees, and I think that there were two, and maybe that's something to reflect upon. I'm not sure if the mentees went through an application program. So if the mentees are kind of opted in or invited in, it's very similar to anything we're putting out there in terms of learning. So I could go and be like, don't you want to learn this thing? And they might be like, yes, but do they really want to? Are they really invested? Are they applying? Are they going through some filters? Is there some friction there? For example, to truly filter out the people that just think on a whim that mentorship is a good idea, compared to those that are really like, I need a mentor in my life. I feel lost. I have some goals. I don't know how to get there. I need support. So I think that might be one of the points. And in this particular program that we've done, we had two phases. There was a quite complex survey, and there was an interview. So there was a lot of friction for people to be like, I really want to be there as a mentee. And then I think the matching is the hardest part. And that why I was curious how you approach that in this Web3 kind of co-created, open format, because how, and I think the matching is crucial, because there has to be some sort of chemistry. And I know this sounds a bit weird, but it's very true. Two people can be brilliant, they can be amazing, they just don't work together. That's just how it is. So it is a human connection, chemistry there. So how do we make sure that happens? And it's impossible to make sure 100%. Like in our case, from 10 people, we had one person that after 2 sessions came back and said, my mentor, we don't click. But in the program, we designed for that. So after a month, we went back and we told them, how are you clicking with your mentor? And then we asked the mentor, how are you clicking with your mentee? Because we assumed that there will be some of them not clicking. And indeed, one of them came back and said, this is not working for me. And maybe another, this like kind of, it's not a question, it's maybe a bit of sharing from our experience or where we stand. Doesn't have to be the the best way or the only way, but that's what we found that works Another reason why mentoring programs are failing in general, especially within companies, is the mentees have a lack of clarity towards their goals. They don't really know what they should, how they should use that time. And the mentor is not a coach. So if you have a good mentor, they will act as a coach at the beginning to figure out what you need and then support you. But that's not the role of a mentor. The role of a mentor is for you to go to them and say, that's where I want to go. How should I get there from your experience? And so in order to kind of gear up for that, the first month of the mentoring was actually a 2-session coaching with a coach. It was 2 sessions, group coaching with a coach that took the mentees towards that goal identification. So when they entered the pairing, each and one of them had 2 goals that they want to achieve by the next end of 6 months. So they went with those goals to the mentor, and they were able to start on something very concrete. And we found that very helpful. And even in that case, there were still some goal defining along the way. It's a complex process, basically. But I'm just sharing what we learned from our experience, Gus. Maybe it's helpful. I don't know if it matches the Web3 kind of vibe, but that's what worked for us.
Yeah. So some thoughts about it. So I've been mentoring people for 20 years or so, but it has been, like Julia was telling, is more organic. People start calling me mentor, and some of them work, other not. Usually the ones that don't work, it's very fast to realize that on both sides. And thank you for sharing the process that you, to see if people clicked or not. And one thing that's important about it, some people not clicking with each other is normal. A program like this is not supposed to have 100% success. Otherwise, if you had 100% success, it would be fake. I was hoping for more, just that. So some people that didn't work, I think in the all pairs in the program, just one didn't work because we had a dropout, someone that disappeared from the map. The other ones didn't have as many calls than supposed, but I think not that some pairs don't work. It's normal. It's part of a mentoring program, okay? But the thing that you shared now about the process, I think is great for the people that are in this call to learn, because the process that I followed didn't work at all. So I think it's good to know one that works better.
And maybe we still have time for a last question. Michelle, I see you have your hand raised as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I just want to say I love the tone and approach of this session. It's just really great to learn together. I was wondering also if maybe one of the issues around, people dropping off was because of the emergence of the topic. And it's such a new area that I can imagine people get excited, at the notion of Web3 and then step in and realize, oh gosh, this is complex and ambiguous and I don't know how it relates to me. And so I'm wondering if you considered some sort of onboarding in the sense of, here's what you have in front of you, or here are the flavors or the directions you can take this, and then maybe some sort of intention setting for people around, and how do I want to start thinking about this? I'm just curious about any thoughts you might have had around onboarding into such a new area.
Yeah, about Web3, I would say that, let me think, that all participants have a bit of knowledge about Web3, and some of them have a lot of knowledge about Web3. So that was not the problem, but the onboarding, the pair them up, it was the problem, okay? So it's a yes and no answer. Like when it comes to Web3, I think that wasn't the problem at all, but we should have onboard them in a different way, for sure.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or comments in the round? If not, I think this was already quite a nice and interesting session. So thank you, Gus, Julia, and Filippo for taking the time,
Thank you,
walking us through it today, and also openly
I
sharing
think Ana
about
Maria
failures.
wants to talk, sorry.
Yes, she still has a question, so go ahead.
It's more like an addition. And because it's community and it's a community project, maybe an idea would be to try to maybe pair it up with some peer groups amongst the mentees without the mentors, and give them the opportunity to join a group of 3 or 4. I know that usually those groups are very useful for people because the mentees are usually facing the same context. They tackle a change in their life. They want to achieve something. They're in an impasse. And that resonates a lot with others. So they create this kind of buffer of, oh, I'm understood. Other people know what I'm talking about. I feel seen, etc. with peers. And that also coagulates or creates this feeling of I'm sticking to this program, because they start having small wins. They share those wins with each other. They cheer for each other. So it's even, I would challenge us as L&D professionals to expand the mentorship program beyond the mentor-mentee relationship, because there are some very interesting facets there in between the mentees that could work quite well to kind of keep them close to the program from a different angle. That's just another thought.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think altogether, Gus, you already got plenty of inputs also in this session today, which was great to have. So thank you to all that also joined and challenged a bit. And I would also be curious then, Gus, whenever you have it a bit more clear with the 2.0 process, that you can also share. So I would invite you to keep that in mind, be it in this format or any other, or even just a Slack update for those that have attended today. I think that would be quite nice and helpful. And maybe also making use of this community that is there and is engaged, in case you want to brainstorm on a couple of ideas on how to make it happen in a better and improved format.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Okay, then thank you everyone for joining and having made it this far. And we keep in touch on Slack. This recording will be available on YouTube, so you can also share it with others, and keep an eye on the upcoming events, as Anna already shared here in the chat. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.